Hello everyone, this is Babamots. Welcome to some more Homeworlds commentary. This is a match between SenetMaster and doobees. I know I do a lot of SenetMaster games, but they play a lot, and they also submit a lot of games to my recommended casting games form. Um, so it's hard to get away from seeing a lot of SenetMaster, but they're good. So let's see how this goes. I've noticed doobees in the Doobie's name popping up in a lot of the replays. I go through and I glance at the names of people who plays every game. I don't often get to go through and actually study the games, but I do look at the names and try to see who's playing a lot. And I think it was back in January Doobie started, and they were playing quite a bit. Let's see, this started in March, and Senet, I think Senate is kind of a fan of trying to start with no blue. I don't think they've had much success with it against strong players, but Doobies is somewhat newer, and maybe it'll work out for them. Senate submitted this one as an interesting game, and I think Senate submits games that both they win and lose. So let's see here. Let's see if Doobies is going to be a rising star. Senate's of course starting with no blue in a fortress. Doobies has a yellow-blue Goldilocks. So what does Senate do to try to handle the no blue start here? Okay, Doobies, I think, is doing the right thing here. Senate, of course, wanted to discover blue as quickly as possible because you don't want to be stuck in with green, nothing but green the whole game. But that took a little blue out of the game, and Doobies traded for blue wisely. They had the little blue star. Doobies might be, I mean, I don't know how much of this was deliberate, but yeah, that was a really good plan against a fortress with no blue. Yeah, good on Doobies for continuing to build the blue. All the way up to medium already. Okay, so this works out that Senate should get an opportunity to build that medium green and then trade it for blue if they want to. Although, if Doobies, okay, backing up a turn, if Doobies, instead of building this G2, if they move one of their blues to a medium blue star, then on Senate's upcoming turn, they'll build a G2, and Senate can build the last B2 before Senate ever gets a chance to get a blue medium. Yeah, that's brutal. Um, yeah, I think Doobie should be discovering that star instead. No, they take the medium green. Senate gets the shopping spree and puts their mothership in the colony, which is interesting. Doobies, of course, gets a free large green that way. I think SenetMaster is probably better off just building G2 ordinary style. Doobies, interesting. Not I think they should have spread out and pushed the blue advantage, because trading for yellow now, I mean, maybe what they're seeing is, oh, well, sacrifice the Y2, move the G2 in here for the catastrophe, but that's really not that big a deal. Or maybe they just want more green so they don't get left too far behind in the green. And Senate really not going for the blue, even though blues have, well, I guess Senate may not care very much about the B2s, because Senate can already build G2s. I was focused on, oh, Senate needs to hurry out there and get a blue ship as quickly as possible, but Doobies isn't caring about the blue ships, so I guess Senate doesn't really need to either. Well, that would be an interesting build. Getting a second large ship, but deliberately overpopulating all of your smaller ships. I don't think that's worth it. Senate's back down to having no blue and geez, no variety at all, and it'll be hard for them to get it. I don't care for that, but Senate is pretty good, and if Doobies is new enough, and if Senate knows that, then maybe Senate just wants to goof off. Okay, well, nothing wrong with fiddling around a little, I suppose. Senate's got a flagship now. Doobies building yellow. I think Doobies, again, Doobies got another opportunity to really push the blue issue. Senet didn't even discover a blue star, so Senet's going to have nothing but green for another couple of turns. Doobies could be cleaning out all the blue. Senet now helpfully has cleared out one of the medium blues. Oh well, if they stick to that. That's even though it's not connected to Doobie's home, I think moving to a large blue instead is probably the better move. Doobies is likely to get to build some of these large blues, and if there are fewer of them, then it seems it can only help Senet. Yeah, Doobie's still not showing much interest in the blues. Senet promised this was an interesting game. And I mean, I guess it's interesting enough, but I think there are some errors here that are distracting me pretty badly, even if you've noticed, I'm sure. Senet sticking with the green. Yeah, Senet's got a good green advantage. Doesn't hurt them to widen it. They're going to want that. Going to want to trade one of those greens for something else eventually. Yellow, perhaps. That's better. And yeah, as soon as Senet gets a red ship, Doobies had better watch out. Okay, Doobies spreading out the yellow, I guess wanting to build more. No, hmm. No. I can't let that go. All right, let me get my whiteboard up here if I can remember how this works. Okay, so ignoring this move, this yeah, it was the Y2 build. So ignoring that build. Well, so this is the situation. In the upcoming exchange that I anticipate, Senet builds the Y3, and then Doobies sacrifices Y2 to move in 2 smalls to destroy both of those Y3s. Okay, so what happened? Doobies gained a Y2, lost a Y2 and 2 Y1s. Okay, maybe that's not so bad. The arithmetic in the end is the two Y2s in exchange for the Y3 and the tempo. I guess that's not too bad. All right, fine. Doobies, you perhaps that was a good move after all. Senet not taking the Y3? Okay, moving. So they move the Y3 to where it can't be overpopulated. It's threatening to blow up Doobie's home star. And of course, Doobies can't. It's making it so Senet can more safely. I mean, yes, they can build the Y3, but Doobies can still sacrifice this Y2 to move in these guys. But then, Doobies is losing more material than they would have been a minute ago if Senet had just built back in Altea. So does Doobies maybe trade one of those yellows for red? It's about time somebody got some red around here. Spreading out, I think Senet might actually blow up Doobie's home star. Okay, increasing Senet's yellow concentration, getting aggressive with the little guy here. I feel like that's a move that needs a name. I remember actually really clearly the first time I saw this. It was in a game with Will. They started pushing yellows into my face. It was a situation kind of similar to that. And I was like, oh, well, heck, I can't keep building yellow now. You'll overpopulate me so cheaply. Okay, green shopping spree. Okay. And Doobies, could build that. Okay, well, I need to stop talking about the next thing until I've committed the previous one. Okay. Senet builds that G1 is all. Didn't want the shopping spree. I'm a little surprised, actually. I feel like it's a safe enough time for a shopping spree. Yeah, Senate's home would have nothing but 3 green ships, but doobies can't get there. Okay. Doobies now finally taking a red. No, going to build that Y3 first. I like that. It's the last of the yellows. Senate can't come into Doobie's home and overpopulate it with the yellows anymore. This is good. Senate will probably trade, yeah, for a red as well. Oh, I say as well. I saw Doobies trade for red briefly, but they took it back. Yeah, this is good moot choice from Senate. Oh yeah. Okay, so this is a conundrum because now Doobies can't really trade for red and get rid of this, get this Y3 to safety in one shot. And if Doobies doesn't get red right away, then Senate rolls into Doobie's home and takes their mothership, and that's no bueno. Senate, interestingly, so instead of capturing the Y3, honestly, I think Doobie should have taken the Y3. Or sorry, yeah, Senate should have taken the Y3. It would have cost Senate their only red, but Doobies doesn't have a fast enough way to counterattack, do anything in particular. I think it would have turned out to Senate's advantage, but I'm not positive. The shopping spree, it leaves that G3 in the bank. I don't like that. Yeah, I think this capture is okay. What's the problem with this capture? So it leaves all these yellows open for overpopulation. Sure, Doobies moves into Y2, but that Y3 used to be Doobies. So Senate loses the R1 and a Y3. Doobies loses Y3, Y1, and Y2. I think that's just fine for Senate. And I mean, so maybe you. No, Senate's got a red star. There's no multi-ship invasion waiting to happen. Doobies doesn't have enough counterattack to really be a big problem, I don't think. But Senate retreats. Doobies builds blue. This is another one of those games where nobody seems very interested in the blue. And I still don't like the shopping spree. It just leaves that G3 open for Doobies. Is there some brilliant reason why this is not so bad? So if Doobies builds the G3, say Senate sacrifices the Y3 to move in a green and threaten to I mean, if Doobies doesn't move or trade one of the greens. No, I don't see any way. I don't see that there's any recompense for leaving that G3 in the bank. Senate does it. Okay, Doobies, are you going to build that G3? Yes, you are. All right, Senate, what have you got? Did you have some master plan for that? No, you just maybe having the extra 2 green ships is worth letting your opponent get a G3. I try to tell myself that I maybe overestimate the value of large ships, but not that much, I don't think. Okay, I think so. Senate got some more red. So Senate now could actually sacrifice a red ship and still have a red ship. So Doobies needs to be pretty careful, especially in their colonies, where the red ship is not. If I was Doobies, though, I would be thinking about pushing one of my G3s forward, because a G3 moved forward is practically check. You sacrifice, if Senate doesn't respond properly, you sacrifice, so let's say this G3 moves forward. Sacrifice the Y2, move in that G3. Senate pretty much has to capture it. And, well, no, I guess. Yes. Okay, I was going to say, what if Senate just brings the Y3 back? Senate can't bring the Y3 back because remember, this is a large star, not a small. It's not connected to Senate's home. Senate doesn't have any more yellow, can't get back in time. Okay, so Senate can't reinforce with anything big enough to capture that invading G3. Um, Senate's in pretty big trouble if they don't capture the invading G3. Then, of course, so they capture it, and then doobees sacrifices the Y3 to move in the other G3 for a winning ship catastrophe. Anyway, that's what I would have my eye on if I were doobees. Doobees spreading out the blue. That makes this a nice, healthy colony for building and diversifying. This finally is a green sacrifice I can get behind. No, I guess. No? Okay, there was nothing else to do with that build, I guess. Yeah, they could build red. Senate could build red, but it could get overpopulated. Yeah, I don't know. It wouldn't be the end of the world. Okay, doobees, however, can make much fuller use of their factory, building 2 blues. And at this point, so this is something I don't see very often, especially in games with really strong players. If somebody doesn't have access to blue, they don't have a. If you put off getting a blue ship too long, you get into a situation where your opponent has enough blue and yellow that if you ever trade for a blue ship at a blue star, then of course you've got a blue ship and a blue star together, and they can be overpopulated. And especially in a case like this, where Senate's entire fleet is at that blue star, uh, Senate needs to be, well, they can never trade for blue. And in this case, it's actually getting to the point where doobees should be thinking about sacrificing that Y3, moving the 3 blues into Altea, and knocking out Senate's entire fleet. Okay, Senate now sacrifice. Oh, okay. Well, no. All right. How blind am I? Uh, Doobies also had the same problem, except it was at a green star. Senate had plenty of green, and they only had the one yellow ship, and it was their flagship. So Senate just gave up a lot. I don't know that that was actually worth it to send uh, Twofull into a supernova. Because when the dust settles, Senate's got some nice reds, but Doobies has a flagship that could move out, more yellow, which is going to give the fastest access to the large ships. I favor Doobies' position here. I think Senate should try to just spread those ships out a little more gradually. Take advantage of the fact that he's got 2 reds, a red that they can safely sacrifice. Maybe move one of these greens into Pandora or even Twofull. Because if Doobies sacrifices the red, Senate can kind of go on a rampage, moving the. Well, I guess you don't want to move the Y3 in there. I don't know. But yeah, I agree that Senate should. I think Senate was wise to take that back. Aha, small star again. Okay. So something Senate might have on the mind is that once all the small pieces are out of the bank, Senate's home is unassailable. No, I still don't like this supernova. Yeah, it puts smalls back in the bank, which, I mean, so I still don't like the supernova for the reasons I've discussed. It puts smalls back in the bank, which gives doobies more opportunities to get into Senate's home. Of course, if Senate was thinking, oh, I've got a fortress, I should get rid of the smalls so that nobody can get into my home, doobies has small yellows. So you can terraform, sacrifice a small yellow, goes back in the bank, you discover it as a star. Doobies would have, if Doobies knows to do that, doobies will have no trouble getting into Senate's home. Okay. Doobies maybe doesn't know about terraforming, could be nervous about getting locked out of Senate's home, and is wanting to discover a star right now. That's interesting too. Actually, I don't dislike that. Discover the little yellow. Um, that would make it so the doobies next turn they could build both of the large yellows. That would actually be really good. Oh my goodness, no, no. Doobies downgraded. They sacrificed the G3 to build blue one, Y1, red one. It does put the yellows out of Senet's reach for now. Gives doobies some more red so they could safely sacrifice if Senet ever, gets some yellow in order to invade Pandora. A large for 3 smalls, I'm almost never going to take that trade. Okay, Senet trading for blue. It's an odd time to trade for blue. Senet's color situation is quite backwards. Senet can only build in a place where they can't trade. This blue can't leave or build more. It just seems like if I don't like it. I don't know what that does. I don't know what that does. I'm sorry, Senet. I don't see the purpose of that, and there's a lot of things in this game I haven't cared for. Builds G1. Yeah. Gotta do something. I think I tend to fall into this trap sometimes where I just build as much as at my home as I possibly can. But Doobies has got so many more ships. I think Doobies would actually have greater control over the bank if they were spreading out, putting stars in and out of the bank at times to suit them, so that they got more ships, and spreading out the colors. I mean, if Doobies just moved one of these yellows out to a system of any color, sacrifice the G3, you've got 2 large yellows, absolute yellow monopoly. Senet never sees a yellow ship again, and you walk all over him. Oh, okay. That's... Oh, wow, what a desperation play. Um, I guess it's not, I mean, I'm always surprised that I don't think of blue sacrifices more often, but um, yeah, sacrificing the blue to get a blue back at your home. Senet finally has a home with blue in it. Senet's got all 4 colors at home. Senet is healthy in a way, just doesn't have any ships. All right, so I largely take back the criticism of trading that R2 for B2 in Altea earlier. Except, I mean, but it had to be the medium because Doobies was hanging on to all the small blues. So yeah, Senet loses some more material that way, and Senet really doesn't have the material to burn here. Doobies finally spreading out the yellows. Senet, Senet can build the G3 now. Yeah, I think Doobies ideally would have been. Well, I was going to say should have anticipated that and moved a green forward, but then of course Senet could have spread out too. No, 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 no. Okay, so I was going to say, I'm going back to it. Doobie's previous turn, instead of moving this little yellow forward, should have moved a green forward, so that if Senet did this build, Doobie's sacrifices the Y2 to move in a G1. Senet goes all the way back to the Stone Age, 1 ship at their home, 1 ship in a colony, 1 very lonely ship in a colony. Senet has to trade back for green before they can do anything at all. And so Senet would not want to do this build. Senet would have to push one of their greens forward, hoping to build that G3, but then Doobies gets to build it instead. Yeah, really, okay, a missed opportunity from Doobies there. Doobies can't build that G3 much as they'd like to, but they do get to build both. Okay, they get to build both Y3s. I guess this isn't so bad. They finally took my advice to spread out the yellows. I think the moving the little green forward to a G2 star was probably even more devastating, though. Senate gets a factory build for a blue and a red. Yeah, that's pretty good. And gosh, Senate's looking like they're almost back in this. Um, except, I think doobees should sacrifice Y3 to move in a little green to knock those greens out, maybe? If you move the little green forward, now you could do it with only a Y2 sacrifice, but Senate's not going to hang around. They're going to trade or move. What? Really? No, you got to trade. Got to trade, man. There you go. Trade for R2. Yeah, Senate's setting themselves up to be the red czar. Oh, and how slow am I? I didn't realize that the doobees has completed their yellow monopoly. Doobees should win this. Um, but if doobees doesn't have any practice taking full advantage of a complete yellow monopoly, then yeah, they could stumble into something. They need... Okay, doobees has enough red to win. Enough reds to blow up Senate's red star. And has plenty of yellow. It should be a doobees victory. Senate doing a green Trant teleport out to Altea. Builds another red. Oh, geez. Well, there's no question at all that doobees should knock out Senate's red star. Yeah, this should be a win, really, in short order here. Sacrifice a Y2, move in a little red. Senate's lost 1 star, and then you've got... most of doobees' yellow is in systems that are not connected to Senate's remaining yellow home star, but doobees has got so much yellow, they just sacrifice all over the place, and it'll be just fine. Sacrifice. It's funny when people sacrifice for a build when they don't need to. Trading out for some more blue. No. Okay, this again, Senate, you've got the win. You've got the win. Don't delay. Doobees. Oh, you're killing me. You're killing me when you should be killing your opponent. Every single ship at SenetMaster's home now could be overpopulated. Well, each of them could be overpopulated. You could only you'd have to pick a color, but it should be red. No, all right. I'm Senate passes. Okay. Oh yeah, Senate can't move anywhere. I think the only thing Senate could do productively is I mean, and it's not very productive. Sacrifice B2. They could trade like G2 for B2 and then R2 for G2. They could to change the colors out here, but I don't think they really need to. Okay, is doobees finally gonna... Oh. Well, that's interesting. I mean, I don't like it, but that was a really interesting idea. Sacrifice your Y3 to overpopulate your own home star so that you can move, a green and a blue into Senate's home. They've got nothing but red left. You could do that, or you could do I would do the reds instead. The reds are better. Oh, how long have I been talking out of my hat? There are no yellow ships. There are no small pieces left in the bank. Senate can't discover a small system in order to get to Senate's home. Okay. I have been talking. I'm sorry when I brought that up. I bet there were no smalls left in the bank. I don't think I probably have seen a total fortress that is completely unreachable like this before, but I don't remember seeing it. So it took me off guard. Okay. Sacrifice the Y3. Overpopulate your own home star. Then overpopulate Senate's home star and their blues. Okay. Yeah, not too bad. Yeah, the blues seem safer because doobees' remaining stars blue. Okay. All right. All right, Senate. I take it back. This is interesting now. That's the type of thing that comes up in puzzles all the time, but I don't really see in actual games, knocking out your own home star on purpose. Okay. Now what does doobees do? Senate, well, Senate needs to get rid of one of those green, yeah, okay. Um, Now, even that, I don't think that's enough. Senate made it so that they can't get their whole fleet catastrophed immediately, but I think doobees still wins this. Yeah, doobees can invade with two. Doobies can invade with two larges at once. Senate can only capture one of them. Doobies has red to spare. Sacrifices a Y2. Okay, this I think will still work out, but I mean, yeah, it obviously should work out, but you never can tell. Sometimes weird things happen. Sometimes sometimes players make mistakes. Okay, so Doobies knocks out Senate's greens. Senate no longer has a mothership. Doobies should invade with a large. And it's just a matter of how it goes. Okay, Senate built too many blues, and Doobies can move into last blue for an overpopulation, and then moves in their mothership just to make a good show of it. All right, that was interesting. I take back my criticism, and I apologize for not noticing that situation. I remarked on the strategic importance of the fortress when the small ships are running low. Um, in that situation, like I was saying, Doobies could have sacrificed a small yellow to discover a small star. They could have got in that way. Um, but Senate had so many large ships ready to move to that place that maybe Doobies was scared by that, or more likely Doobies just didn't think of sacrificing a small yellow. Um, Doobies did have large ships that could have been moved to that terraformed small yellow though, and well, anyway, if you're still listening, it's probably because you like the sound of my voice more than because you like anything I've got to say. Because I think I'm just babbling. Anyway, yeah, it feels good to do another commentary. I enjoy studying these games. Sorry that that there was some weaker play earlier in the game, and some mistakes by me, of course, making calls that were nonsense. But that's usual. Thanks for watching.